Good morning. I'm Derek Martin, Executive Director of the Erie International Airport in beautiful Erie, Pennsylvania, and we're honored today to have this announcement and communication for key stakeholders throughout the Commonwealth here with us today. We're here today to talk about Real ID and the importance of it, not just in airports, but as you go to federal facilities throughout the Commonwealth, such as the Social Security Office. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Secretary Carroll to the podium.
Thanks, Derek, and thanks for hosting us today here in Erie. If you're the type of person that waits till the last minute to do something, here's news. It's the last minute. It's time to get the Real ID. I'm Mike Carroll, the PennDOT Secretary, and I want folks to know that starting May the 7th, just 1 month away, if you don't have a Real ID or a passport, you will not be able to board a commercial flight here in Erie or in any airport without the Real ID. About 26% of Pennsylvanians, about 2.6 million Pennsylvanians have already gotten the Real ID, so quite a number to go. Of course, if you have the passport, you can avoid the Real ID, but you must have the passport with you. And very often, folks that fly domestically, say from Erie to San Antonio, wouldn't bring their passport. So having the Real ID is a real insurance policy to make sure that you can get on a flight. And getting a Real ID is not that hard. The PennDOT website is a critical step to make sure that when you show up at the driver's license center, you will have the documentation that you need. PennDOT's driver's license center, including the one in Erie and also in Meadville, traditionally are closed on Sundays and Mondays. Our work weeks at the PennDOT driver centers are Tuesday through Saturday. But starting today and continuing through the beginning of May, excepting Easter Monday, the PennDOT driver license centers will be open on Mondays for Real ID transactions. Today, at the Erie Driver Center or Meadville, people are getting their Real ID, as they are at 57 locations across our state. You know, if you have an airline ticket for a flight after May 7th and you don't have the Real ID, the time is now. If you have a flight later in the year and you don't have a Real ID, the May 7th deadline does not apply to PennDOT. We will continue issuing Real IDs long after May the 7th. But it really is critically important for folks that have a commercial flight booked sometime after May the 7th to get their documentation necessary to get to our driver centers and to get a Real ID. It will be a shame if somebody shows up here at the Erie Airport or any airport without a Real ID and they're turned away by the TSA folks for lack of that Real ID. You know you have the Real ID if you look at your driver's license and there's a gold star in the corner. The gold star indicates the fact that it's a Real ID. Make sure that you take a look at your driver's license. It's possible that you got it 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. We've been offering Real IDs for 6 years. So if you're not quite sure, check the corner of that license. Make sure the gold star is there. If it's not, gather your documents, check the PennDOT website, and I will warn folks that the lines are a little long at the driver centers these days. Traditionally, we move folks in and out pretty quickly. But you know, the likelihood is that it'll be a 40-minute wait, maybe a little longer, depending on what day you show up at the driver center. If you're a driver that goes to the driver center for ordinary transactions, I would ask you not to go to the driver center. If you're doing a very ordinary transaction that you can do by the internet or by mail, it will save the folks that are at the driver center to deal with these individuals that are getting the Real ID at the last minute. I know it's human nature. Folks wait till the last minute to get things done. But as I said at the beginning, it is the last minute. It's important to get the Real ID. You're not going to be able to get on a commercial flight. You're not going to be able to get into a federal building without it, and it's 1 month away. So I'll turn it over to Jim from AAA to add his thoughts. It's really important for folks, whether they're hearing this in Pennsylvania or Ohio or New York, it's time to get the Real ID. Jim from AAA. Jim.
Thank you, Secretary Carroll. I'm Jim Garrity, the Director of Public Affairs for AAA East Central. And we're a month away from the deadline for Real ID. It's crazy how fast it's kind of come up on us, but here we are. On May 7th, you will not be able to board an airline for domestic flight without that stamp of approval on your driver's license unless you have a passport. If you're like me and you tend to lose things, you might not want to be taking your passport with you everywhere you fly, and it might be a better idea for you to get the Real ID. But the point is that no matter what, if you are considering Real ID, the time to get those documents together is now. I personally know people who thought they had every document they needed, showed up at the PennDOT location just to find out that based on the technicality, they did not. And there could be a process involved, and if you have to go to different agencies to get the correct documentation you need. And that can, that can vary person by person, so it's something to start thinking about immediately. From AAA's perspective, what we don't want to see happen is people who have vacations planned after May 7th show up to airports like this just to find out that them and their families aren't allowed to fly. The number one flight destination out of this region is Orlando. Those vacations are coming up for a lot of people, to the parks of Orlando, to the cruise ships that are nearby. We don't want anyone's vacation plans thrown off. But even if it's not your vacations that are coming up, maybe you will fly one day out of this airport domestically. That could be to see family. That could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe a vacation is in your future, or maybe you want to enter a federal facility. These things might come up, and if you don't have that passport or passport card, you want to be thinking about getting that yellow star on your driver's license as soon as possible. Do not delay. There could be a lot at risk if you do. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take questions from the podium if anybody has any. If not, we do have off podium. Okay, thanks so much for covering the.
Yeah.
Ma'am?
I'm a little late, I apologize. Did you say what percent of Pennsylvanians have it already?
26% have already secured the Real ID. That number is growing as we speak because of the rush of folks that are showing up at the driver centers now. In some cases, especially in the larger cities, the lines are pretty lengthy. So 26%, again, you can have a passport as well. The concern with the passport is if you don't bring the passport with you for a domestic flight, you're going to get turned away if you don't have the Real ID. So, about 2.6 million Pennsylvanians.
Has your efforts been hampered by kind of moving the goalposts for the last 4 years?
It's human nature, I think, for folks to wait to the last minute. And so I think that we were going to have this moment in time, whether it was some number of months or years prior to today or today. So not hampered. I just think that, because of human nature, folks were going to show up at the last minute, and it's the last minute. And so the lines are, normally a driver center, you're in and out of there pretty quickly. Now, to be fair, it's the better part of an hour in most cases. And I know there's a hassle factor there. But the reality is it's a bigger hassle if you show up here at the airport with a purchased airline ticket and you cannot board the flight. That's a hassle.
I can add something to add to that. Yeah, there have been delays in this deadline in the past, but at this point there is no indication that there is going to be one. And if you're somebody who may be traveling, it's not worth relying on that as a possibility because there's no indication that that's going to happen right now.
I think there's still a misunderstanding on the part of Pennsylvanians about what they need to do, because there are options available to them. If you had to say what the biggest confusion has been about all of this, do you know what that is?
The biggest confusion mostly is name changes for women and bringing the documentation necessary for name changes to be able to get the Real ID. Remember, the Real ID is a federal requirement, not just for Pennsylvania, but for all 50 states. And so the challenge primarily is making sure you have the documents. I know for me, I had to get a duplicate Social Security card. I couldn't find my, red, white, and blue Social Security card. I had to get a duplicate of that. So the collection of the credentials necessary to qualify for the Real ID, probably the biggest hassle. Okay. Thanks for covering, everybody. Thanks.
At least you have another.